called you. I trained you. I put you in a particular place so you could be the head and not the tail. Now, if you're the head, that means that you really got more sense than other folk. But because you keep revolting, every time you revolt, you move further and further to the tail of the beast. Every time you revolt. I said, now, I am not revolting. Whatever you say to me, Lord, I'm going to do it. I'm going to trust in you until I die. I'm going to trust what you say. I'm going to do it like you said it. The Lord told me, he said, son, he said, there's some things you don't trust me in. And, you know, I'm too old to be lying to him. I'm sure. I know that's your voice, so I know that it's true. Help me see what it is. He said, well, there are things that you want to keep doing the way you've always done because they're comfortable to you, and they make people more comfortable with you. The things you do, they're comfortable to you, and people, they become more comfortable with you. He said, because you really don't want to stir up any trouble or animosity. He said, you don't trust me to take care of you in those things. You don't believe that I will. He said, what you have gone back to doing is trying to dress things nicely for folk. And he said, when you're dealing with your folk, he said, if you could be in their homes, in their cars, and hear how they talk, how they cuss each other out, he said, they know what you're talking about when you say what you... He said, because they mean people. He said, they got attitudes. He said, they can't say nothing to each other. What you say that for? Well, honey, all I said was that the Grits had 2 more lumps today than they did yesterday. That's all I said. Well, fix your own then, with your complaining self. You just need to be thankful I'm here to fix what I can fix. Sweetheart, would you mind washing my car? I don't feel like washing no car today. Y'all not drove it when it was raining. So what you want me to do, walk in the rain? You see, we don't have relationships that amount to anything. We don't. And we just don't. We revolt. I told my wife, I said, no, baby, I can't be going back in that direction. I've got to go further in this direction because I serve a God that said, I'm going to take and bear the sins and infirmities of other people. He said, I'm going to take what somebody else really could not bear, and I'm going to take it for them. And when they get to where they can handle some stuff, I'll release some stuff back to them. You see, that's how you get food. The Lord takes stuff off of you when you can't handle it. Then when you get strong enough, then it starts coming back. You say, Lord, what happened? I thought you were taking this away. No, he carried it until you got to where you could carry it, and then you deal with it. That's how it works. But we want him to take it all away. You see, we've been given a fantasy gospel. It's a fantasy. And we want it to be, well, just tell Jesus he'll fix it. And see, in our minds, because stuff has been so bad, we think the fix is going to be abracadabra. The fix is that he'll start giving you strength to deal with this, or he'll carry it until you get the strength, then he'll start to release some of it back. But the problem is, you don't realize what he's done. And she told you, listen, I've had enough of this. I was watching a show, and this lady had been married to this guy for 20 years. He was a multi-millionaire. But he was the stingiest thing you've ever seen. Now, anytime she say, I can't take it, I'm going to leave. He'd go out and spend some of that money and buy all kinds of jewelry. I mean 10, 20, sometimes $100,000 buying stuff for her to make sure she stayed. But then, as soon as she settled down, she had a little money that came from a disability. He took all of it and would give her a little allowance. Had plenty, but would not let the household be blessed because he was so tight. And I sat there and looked at that. I said, the Lord. I said, now, the lady's brother, the first time he met the guy was driving 1988 Mercedes. He had no health problems. His wife, who was the guy's sister, didn't. And then the guy pulled him in a restaurant and parked in the handicap space and pulled out a handicap. And he said, what in the world? The guy had lied so that he would not have to burn any extra gas. He could get a handicap parking space. Now, the man was worth millions, but that's how tight he was. And treated his wife, told her, brother said, you still driving this car? He said, this is 20 years later. You still driving this Mercedes that you all had? He said, why don't he buy you a car? He said, we don't need that. You just need to be satisfied with what you got. This car is good enough. He said, this car is falling apart. But he would not do anything. He had the money. But see, he was moving further and further away from proper care. Because everything you've got on this planet, you ain't taking a dime with you. You're not going to find a U-Haul behind any hearse. You ain't taking it. Somebody else going to spend it. Somebody else going to have it. And you don't know whether a wise man or a fool is going to get it. You better do wise things with it now. Because if a fool gets it, and you may have spent 40 years amassing it, a fool will spend it in 40 days. Be gone. So you better use wisdom with what God gives you to make lives better, to make your life better. Solomon tried to tell us stuff. He said, look, you need to understand this. He said, you ain't taking nothing with you. He said, ain't nothing better for a man than to eat, drink, and be merry. He was trying to tell you, don't get caught up in the world. You understand what this world is for. But see, he was not interested in building the relationship. He wanted to control it. Didn't work. Finally, they wound up having to get divorced. She said, I can't take it. I cannot take it. He saw materialism of greater value than proper, clean atmosphere relationship with that woman. We don't understand. And we fuss and we fight and we do unnecessary things. Now, I ain't gonna let stuff go on forever. Now, you know, you're going through some changes. If I ever find out that you're playing me, it's gonna be a different ball game then. Now, you truly got some issues. You're going through some changes, and you hit a little problem every now and then. We'll get you some medication. But if I find out you don't need that medication, that you're just playing me, you see, that you could control that thing you went into every time there was something you didn't want to do. You could control it, but you want to put it on, I'm just super nervous. And then all of a sudden I see you, and you don't know I'm there, and I see you doing stuff that I didn't think you could do. Now we got a problem. We got a problem. Because you played me. That's breaking a trust. And there should be a holy trust between a man and a woman, where we can depend on one another. And I know you're going to do the best you can, and I'm going to do the best I can, and we're going to make this thing work. He said, why do you keep revolting? See, like I was telling you earlier, I try not to get my children in a revolting state. Don't want them. Now, if they married somebody or hooked up with somebody crazy, I'm going to have to tell them, now, I told you that boy was crazy to start with. Told you that girl won't right. Now, you in it, you do the best you can with it, but I told you. Now don't come running to me. I told you they won't right to start with. My daddy was the kind of man, boy, that ain't right. She don't need him. One of my other sisters, he said, my mama said, well, Hugh, what you think about him? Said, he got some funny ways, but he'll be all right. And they were. He just had some funny ways. And it took the Holy Spirit to get those funny ways straightened out. You're not going to hook up with anybody that's got everything right. But see, when you find that there can be no compromise to make that thing work, you got a problem. You got a problem. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I know it's tearing up. Now look, I didn't have a job, no money, family going through. Was it wise for me to keep going out buying 12 packs and half gallons of liquor when I know I can't feed my family? You see, that's selfish. That's you. You need to understand what's important. You see, your family's suffering and you getting high to deal with your pain. What about their pain? That's wrong. Ain't the way you think. But see, we don't operate that way. He said, why will you revolt more and more? The whole head is sick. The whole heart faint. Sick is the word colic, meaning anxiety, calamity, disease, grief. It's a malady. Comes from a word chela, which means to be rubbed or worn, to be weak, to be sorry, to be grieved. He said the whole head is sick. He said not just a part of it, the whole thing. Because you refuse to deal with those little foxes that spoil the vines. You refuse to deal with that little leaven that leavens the whole lump. So what you do, rather than say, yeah, I've got an attitude problem. So he says to you, blah, 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 and you go off. Well, that's really not him. That's something you got in you that came somewhere else. And he triggers it. So what you want him to do is change and not say that so you can keep that demon you got. And then she says something. Well, how come you always got to question me? That's something going on with you, guy. That's you. Because I would say to my wife and did not realize it was me. When she would say certain things, I would say, who are you talking to, girl? I ain't stupid. And she said, I'm not calling you stupid. Why do you ask that? Well, you see, I knew I was intelligent, but in the workplace, everything I saw told me a black man was stupid. And when she said certain things, I ain't stupid. What you want to say that to me for? That ain't what I'm saying. Oh, yes, you were. Yes, you were. And wouldn't let her out of it either. Telling you about these demons now. The whole head was sick. And I said, okay. So she said certain things. I said, okay. I said, give me your rationale behind that. Much easier. Give me your rationale. Well, what I thought was, and she explains, okay. I said, we can use that part. I said, but now I'm not comfortable with that. Not that part of it. Life so much better. But see, it was my issue. And when she said certain things, it's like she was challenging my intellect and my authority. You can't do that. Now, let me tell you the other problem I had and didn't realize it. But I was programmed by Babylon. She'd ask me that and say something to me like that, and then I'd say what I said. The other problem, I was programmed to see a woman is not as good as I am. Oh, don't even give me that holy look, boys. You feel that mess. That's right. I was programmed. Oh, she don't know what she's talking about. It was in the movies. It was in books. It was in magazines. That she's not as good as I am. Listen. Back then, in the day, 50s and 60s and 70s, only prostitutes we saw were females. You didn't see male prostitutes like you do today. So to me, she was less than me. Do you understand? I'm trying to tell you how Babylon has programmed you, made the whole head sick. That's right. And I had to realize, no. We are equal partners. She is just as much human as me. Her body is just a little different. She has 23% muscle. I've got 40% muscle. So the vessel is different, but the intellect is equal. Her spirit is equal. And the only thing he said was honor the wife as the weaker vessel. But see, we wanted to make that a holistic thing and say, well, if she's got a weaker vessel, she's got a weaker mind, a weaker spirit. That ain't so. It's God in her, just in a different body. Now, when I got hold of that, then a lot of things changed. But you know what that did at the same time? It made me see arrogant, cocky, Jezebelian women. That's right. They show up like a sore thumb. Because I got rid of that. You see, you can't see the foolishness and twistedness in her as long as you're foolish and twisted. That's right. That's right. So I couldn't see her true Jezebelian aspects as long as I was operating in my true Ahab, Incredible Hulk aspect. But once I got free from my misjudging her, I'm like, I said to my wife, I said, yeah, that's Jezebel right there. How do you know? I said, believe me, I know. You see, you can't really see stuff till you get rid of stuff. That's right. That's right. And then people think you're strange. Well, how come he's like that? I try not to be like this, but I can't help it anymore. You need to understand, Elvis has left the building. I don't think like that. You see, when you get free from stuff, you can see stuff. And I saw all the garbage that Babylon had put in me. Because Babylon is a sick nation. You were raised in it. You got some sickness in you. You don't think you do. And black folk got more sickness in them than anybody, because if Yahweh said, I want you to be the head, but if you get foolish, you're going to be the tail. So you be at the low end. And if you at the bottom of the ocean, you know that all of the debris winds up in the bottom of the ocean. So every nasty, dirty thing falls on us because we don't want to come up. And you know what you like? You would love for me to have just gotten into a gear. Elder Whitfield strike those consonant chords at the right time. And we have y'all hollering and screaming. Everybody standing up just, oh, I tell you what. Oh, didn't we have a first of the year service like nothing? I tell you what, I ain't never heard him preach like that. You ain't never heard what you heard today, but you ain't gonna call it preaching. Yeah, you ain't gonna do right with it. He said, from the sole of the foot, even into the head, there is no soundness in it. Do you understand when you revolt up here, there is no soundness in your whole body? Your whole body breaks up and goes through stuff. Because you can't fight off anything. And you may say, well, I'm not sick. You keep living. Keep living with an unsound mind and see don't your body break up. You're not supposed to die with diseases based on the scriptures. But we do because we have no soundness in us. He said there is no soundness in it but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. See, that's the problem. We bring you to church, we don't close up a thing. We do not bind up what is cut and bleeding and broken. We don't put any ointment on you. We give you weed to get you high. We give you cocaine to make you think, oh, I can do anything. And then by the time you get home, somebody called you on the phone, and then you call me, Lord, Apostle, so-and-so just happened. But I thought you just left church, empowered. it was just a high, because you really can't deal with the reality of life when things start to come. And that's where we fail. We cannot deal with what's real. If my wife told me, Dennis, I'm just not in love with you. I don't want to stay with you. Now, I can either go back to my emotional breakdown, or I can go back and start to say things I've heard people say, or I can go to the Word of God and maintain my composure and go to work on changing that. And let me tell you something. Just before I got saved, my wife told me that. She said, because I was so wicked, she said, I'm not in love with you. She said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Now, I still had enough arrogance mixed with grace that it didn't faze me. I said, don't worry about that. I'll fix that. That's it with my arrogance. I said, don't mean nothing to me. Because I was so cocky that I was that far. There were women that asked me if I'd be their pimp. You see, I knew the game. So I was so cocky. Oh, don't worry about that. I'll fix that. We ain't going nowhere. I'll straighten that out. Because I thought so much of myself, I didn't think she could live without me. Now, that arrogance helped me at that moment. But the Lord said, now you better settle yourself down and learn how to honor and treat this woman like a woman's supposed to be treated. And I said, Lord, I don't know how to do that. He said, there's some tapes by Dr. Miles Monroe, The Purpose of the Male and the Female. I got into that. I learned some stuff. And I started changing my behavior towards her. And we're here today because of the Lord. He let me keep my arrogance because I needed that at the moment. Because if I didn't have that arrogance, I'd have broke down. And then here you would have gone begging, please don't leave me. A woman don't want no chumped out man. Oh, please. Sweetheart, don't leave me. Don't leave me this way, baby. Please stay. And she looked at you like, I don't want no crybaby. You can't stand up and be a man. You see, you got to understand how a woman's made. A woman moves by the pheromones and strength that comes off of the man. And if she senses you ain't got it, you see, pheromones, her nose is built in such a way, your body secretes pheromones that you cannot smell. Her nose can smell them. And when she doesn't smell that masculine pheromone, if she's smelling that female progesterone, she said, I don't need a woman. I'm looking for a man. So you and your little sissy self, you better go on somewhere else, boy. I ain't got time for this. So I was a man. She knew I was a man. I was just crazy. But the Lord showed me how. Settle down. Respond to this woman properly. And I did. And it was rebuilt. That's what we need to understand. See, we suffer divorces because we just don't know how to be men and women. You have been programmed by Babylon's TV, The View. You can't listen. I don't care what kind of woman she is. If she's been in Hollywood, you better not listen to her. Just go ahead and change the O to an E. She came from Hollywood. And that's a hell of a mess out there. And if you're going to listen to them, you're going to get in trouble. You better listen to Holywood. Take one L out and make it holy. That's what you need. But see, you too busy watching them things, housewives from Atlanta, from New Jersey. and you sitting looking at silly, goofy black women that have fallen into nothing but Jezebelian traits, and she is the queen of heaven based on the Bible. And God said that everybody that follows her and makes an offering to her is going to go down the tubes with her. You need holy women to tell you what to do. You need honorable men to tell you what to do. But see, you don't want to hear a holy. My wife's a holy woman. She'll tell you, now, sweetheart, this is what you need to do. My mama was a holy woman. She told my wife how to conduct herself. And now my wife tells me, she said, you know, you just unbelievable. I'll pray her to sleep. I will walk that bed and pray until she goes fast asleep. And she'll tell me, she said, I slept so good last night. You know why? Because I've learned to be what a man ought to be. The first thing I don't say is, well, we better call the doctor. I said, no. Dr. Dennis is here. That's right. That's right. And the prescription is, I'm going to call on Yeshua, the Ruach HaKodesh, and I'm going to call the angels. And we're going to run some demons and devils off. My medication says demons and devils got to go. When they go, things going to get better. And when she goes to sleep, that means that I have done my job to give her some rest. And in the days ahead, she's going to come completely out. And I told her, girl, you have not seen the beauty that's going to come up on you yet. You think my wife never had a pimple, but through witchcraft working folk, we've had to fight some stuff. But I'm saying, Lord, I want you to save them or put everything they've sent on them. Let them have it. All right. Well, I am done. That's about all you can take. That's more than you can handle. That's more than you can handle. And I'm gonna tell you something. You ain't gonna remember a lot of what I said. There's CDs back there. You need to rehearse what I've said. Because I said stuff I didn't know I was gonna say. I said stuff I'm gonna have to go back and listen so I can repeat it again. And you ain't no smarter than I am. And if I got to go back and listen, you and your arrogant Babylonian sick-head self, you need to listen to it again. Because you ain't got it. You just think you do. All right? So